What's up guys, it's me Lumos Theromax and welcome to a new year for the Theromax core, and I plan on exploding the channel with all sorts of really fun and interesting content this year, and 2023 will be the year of the lanterns. So hopefully y'all are willing to stick around, like, and subscribe for pretty much all the stuff I have planned in the future. And today we're actually here to discuss one of the most significant characters within the totality of DC cosmology that pretty much nobody really talks about, but since you got your boy Lumos, you know I've got you, and I've got the best content and references for this character humanly imaginable. So be sure to like and subscribe down low, and let's get into the Chronicler and see exactly what he's repping. So when it comes to the really high-end beings that roam the overvoid, we don't actually have a lot of comics covering the figures on that level of existence, and the Chronicler is no exception. Wait a minute, this dude with the lava lamp head is from the overvoid? Yeah. In one of the first panels of the only comic he's in, we get blatant proof that he roams the greater Omniverse and traverses it to catalog dying multiverse. The greater Omniverse is the terminology for the infinite multiverses that exist inside the overvoid itself. Logically, he would have to travel the overvoid to get to each of the individual dying multiverses, or have powers capable of teleporting himself between the different multiverses, and both are wildly impressive inside the context of DC cosmology, regardless of which one you think he's doing. Honestly, doing both wouldn't be beyond this character's true power considering his extreme powers and hacks, and in case you were a super skeptic or a DC downplayer like Dripsauce fan 69420 quickscopes for you, we know that the Chronicler is from the overvoid and traversing the greater Omniverse for sure, because the narrator specifies that the Chronicler isn't just arriving from other multiverses in or from the bleed, but directly from the overvoid. Clearly the Chronicler has come across some wildly powerful characters in his travels, because he takes one glance at the battle between Perpetua and batmanhattan and classifies them as Omega class cosmic entities. The fact he has a classification for beings of this magnitude hints at the idea he's come across beings on a similar scale before, just not inside the confines of a dying multiverse that he's cataloged. This is impressive because both Perpetua and batmanhattan should be, at a low ball, just as powerful as other hands of the presence, and at a high ball vastly more powerful if you consider the amps they should have gotten at this point in time within the confines of this story. Hands of the presence, or the source, are also beings who traverse the overvoid and create entire multiverses. Perpetua specifically being capable of tearing chunks off of the overvoid to form and fashion beings like the Anti-Monitor, Monitor, and World Forger pretty casually. Despite this, the Chronicler is not afraid of them whatsoever. He simply claims he has a limited amount of time to do his job of cataloging this dying multiverse before it's entirely destroyed by the clash between the two, considering their clash is literally attacking each other on all realms within the multiverse simultaneously. The Chronicler is extremely proficient at teleportation as well, which is his most consistently used ability throughout the entire comic. His teleportation can move from the overvoid into multiverses, as stated before, but also throughout the entire confines of a multiverse, no matter how damaged or destroyed that multiverse is. The entire time he's teleporting around the main DC continuity, its entire foundations such as Hypertime, the God Sphere, the Orrery of Worlds, and the Speed Force are entirely destroyed or excruciatingly diminished as a result of Perpetua's actions in the 2018 run, or batmanhattan's actions, or both of them battling on all planes of reality simultaneously, as said before. The Chronicler moves across the verse quickly and effectively with his teleportation, but even more impressive, the Chronicler was never detected by batmanhattan or Perpetua while approaching or entering the multiverse via that teleportation. batmanhattan and Perpetua both have demonstrated the ability to see and sense beings beyond the multiverse with their extreme cosmic awareness. This implies that the Chronicler can hide himself from even beings on their Omega class cosmic entity level. The Chronicler also has the wildly impressive ability to resurrect the dead new god Metron. Traditionally, when new gods die, their souls return to the source. Whenever the source chooses to revive them, it returns them back to creation revived. This implies that the Chronicler has the power to reach into the source itself and drag out the soul of Metron from it as well as reconstitute a new god form despite him just standing there and holding Metron's skull. The raw power the Chronicler wields is only rivaled by his unique durability as well. While rolling up to the base of Vril Dox, who, in case you didn't know, is the son of Brainiac, who has prep time in the story, the Chronicler completely wipes out his Brainiac robot army with a simple wave of his hand, and he claims that he cannot be harmed in any way as he is a being protected by the source of all things. This is impressive on two fronts because very little scales to the source itself in DC, so his durability might be beyond what we understand currently. And Vril Dox has technology at a level where he can literally send signals into the greater Omniverse, so out into the overvoid, and even has technology that can rival his father Brainiac's technology. None of that mattered before the Chronicler, as he casually wiped them all out with a cosmic bitch slap. Psycho Pirate also attempts to use his wildly powerful Medusa mask, which allows for an extreme level of emotional manipulation, but this doesn't even faze the Chronicler, despite it giving him power over many characters and even gods within the context of our main DC continuity. The Chronicler simply claims he has no empathy for the dead and continues on performing his function, demonstrating a powerful resistance to any form of mind hacks or emotional hacks that could be attempted on him. The Chronicler also has a very strict sense of morality, flat out claiming that the hero should have murdered the Joker, but he doesn't choose to do so because it's not within his function, as focusing on the dead isn't something he cares about unless he needs to gather some form of information out of him, which also helps him complete his function. To be more specific about what the Chronicler is and his function is, he is a cosmic entity that is a functionary of the source of all things itself, that catalogs the dead and dying multiverses of the greater Omniverse. Chronicler does so by utilizing arguably one of the most powerful artifacts and books in all of DC. It's kind of like a bigger dead multiverse version of Destiny of the Endless's book called the Codex Omniversa. The Codex Omniversa contains the knowledge of all dead multiverses in the entire greater Omniverse that have ceased to exist. On top of that, it has its own unique hexes that the Chronicler can employ to perform his function as a cataloger. These would include the ability to automatically read, comprehend, and store the memories and stories of anyone in his presence inside the book, which even works on characters such as Psycho Pirate, Vril Dox, and Metron, even if it is against the will of those he's taking the information from. This is wild, as Metron and Vril Dox are arguably some of the most intelligent, if not smartest beings we are aware of in our entire multiverse, and offer powerful mind hacks resistances. It can also be weaponized against anyone, as the Chronicler turns the open Codex Omniversa against Vril Dox to show him the horrors of how the other multiverses he has cataloged have died. One look causes even the son of Brainiac to throw up in agony, even though he just looked at the Codex Omniversa for a mere second. It appears to also have forcefully deactivated or destroyed the energy barrier Vril Dox attempted to trap him in with no effort whatsoever. Having all the information inside the book, the Chronicler can then ponder the totality of entire multiverses' histories simultaneously, as he did with the main DC continuity multiverse, in his own mind, before he was called by a higher power to then leave that multiverse. The Chronicler can disobey this higher calling, as in this story he decides to revive Metron for more information about the main DC multiverse despite having all the information he genuinely needed. You can argue the Chronicler is being pulled to another dying multiverse by this force, or he could be leaving to report his findings on this dying multiverse to his superiors. But who exactly are his superiors, and what higher power calls on the Chronicler to perform his function of cataloging the dying multiverses? As he is a functionary of the source itself, it's most likely the source itself is who he reports to, responds to, or is called by. Metron confirms he is a being beyond the greater Omniverse and uses the power of the source, which is beyond the Chronicler. Want more evidence of his stature and value to the greater powers beyond our multiverse? Well, I wouldn't just tell this content to anyone, as I had to traverse the depths of an actual book to find it. But since you know your boy Lumos, I got the hookup. According to the DC Book of Lists, the Chronicler is listed as a being from beyond the 6th dimension and above the Cosmic Raptor or the hands of the Presence, but below the judges of the source. Since the judges of the source are above the chronicler here, he could potentially be reporting his findings to the judges of the source, or the source itself, or possibly even both. This might also explain why, according to the author of Death Metal, my boy Scott Snyder claims, it was the judge of the source who arrived at the end of Death Metal to deal with the situation, as the chronicler possibly could have informed them, tying this all together. In conclusion, we have less than 5 beings stated above where the chronicler currently stands inside the cosmological hierarchy of all of creation itself. Hopefully after that entire breakdown, you guys will have a greater understanding of the character known as the Chronicler, who's arguably one of the most underrated DC characters from a cosmological perspective that we really have. This character is a powerhouse traversing extraversal planes and is safely scaling in terms of the damages you can do into the extraversal ranges, and only really needed one comic to do it. That's absolutely absurd. But that being said, be sure to like and subscribe down low, and if you guys have a character you'd like me to cover, feel free to hit me up on my Cash App. It's the fastest way to get one of these exported into the top of the list, because I have a ton of stuff planned for this year, and they will be getting cranked out. And as always, I'm your host, Lumos Theromax, and it's been great having you guys. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you next time. Later, Lanterns.